this is Jared Rand. Welcome to the Global Guided Meditation Call for Sunday, September 8, 2024, a little after 3:15 p.m. Eastern. When we release the need to be right, that's when the enlightened mindset shows up. And this encompasses knowing ourselves intimately and never stray from exploring further about who and what we are. Now, this kind of exploration leads to a profound honoring of the sacredness in all things in this life. We start honoring that this balanced state of perfection is everywhere. And we have nothing, absolutely nothing to complain about or try to change in ourselves anymore. Instead, we start worshiping everything around us. We see everything and everyone as the divine in physical form. We bow down to this very ordinary life and call it God. We look into a blade of grass and understand how it's just as sacred and important as an entire galaxy. To remain in a judgment-free, enlightened mind every day, we must choose to look at what cannot be looked at and revel in being totally real with our pain. When we wish to remain liberated, we must be willing to see where we are still in prison, fighting to get out. As long as we are fighting, we are still not truly free. So we must choose to always be aware of the slippery mind. We must choose to be 100% creatively devoted to consciously being awake, aware, and ready to step beyond a seemingly safe, judgmental world. You've heard me say on a brief occasion that we really, all of us, must choose to become the black sheep of this world if we are to be truly free. We cannot ever agree with anyone who says that some things are just 100% bad and nothing good at all will ever come out of it. We must choose to stop all movement whenever any judgment arises. We must choose to watch our thoughts and beliefs vigilantly, to be totally aware whenever the mind starts believing in some final truth. We must choose to do everything we can so that the ego cannot harden and cling to any opinions formed or thoughts containing right and wrong beliefs. Now, as we know, this path takes some serious devotion. Blaming holds you in the energy of the duality of victim and abuser. Forgiving is a direct way of reclaiming your power and free yourself to love beyond judgment, grace alone. Some people will tell you how this universe is not already in a perfect design. They might try to make you believe that you should only get what you want and nothing else. And this seems like the ideal situation to be in, right? Well, the spiritual awakening process is always much deeper and more complex than it appears to be. If the universe was set up this way, the great mystery would be gone. If we should ever, or never, know what a block, problem, pain, or failure was like, we would be without direction, feel perpetually numb, and have no longing to dig deep inside our souls to find our life mission, creativity, and spiritual path. This universe is already set up in the most intelligent manner. It's designed so that we can get a good solid taste of suffering, anxiety, or inner turmoil and use it to awaken with. Whenever we go unconscious and forget the divine, all-intelligent universe is everywhere around us, we instantly suffer. Whenever we allow the mind to form any judgment and register only one side of reality, our problems begin. The universe loves us so much that it doesn't want us to live in any lie. So it wakes us up with a little stress, anxiety, or emotional pain. Now, if we don't stop and drop our judgments, then another level of suffering will soon manifest. This pain is our most perfect and most loving teacher. And by welcoming it fully, we are led back to our real state of love, enlightenment, and freedom. The moment you start seeing life as a non-serious, a playfulness, all the burden of your heart disappears. All the fear of death, of life, of love, everything disappears. One starts living with a very light weight or almost no weight. So weightless one becomes, one can fly in the open sky. Osho. Do not delude yourself by imagining your source to be some God outside you. Your source is within yourself. Give yourself up to it. Seek the source within and merge with it. Ramana Maharishi. We live in a world that ignores the fact that a supreme, divine, all-loving intelligence lives within us. We've been programmed to believe we are spiritually disconnected and must fix our broken selves to feel whole and reconnected again. We do not realize it. Yet we are just used to feeling spiritually numb. As we have been plagued every day of our lives by an overly materialistic society which is constantly seducing us with its glorified billion-dollar hypnotic media programming. We have contracted a deep case of spiritual amnesia and have forgotten how to relax into our spiritual essence and find our own intimate connection with the divine. This everyday ignorance of our spiritual nature is the greatest lie mankind is living today. It is the cause of every moment of suffering each human being is currently enduring in this very moment, in this very now. One may think that spiritual drought was created by mankind, coincidentally, and it is not part of the grand divine design. Nothing is by coincidence or without purpose in this universe. This blind ignorance is within us all on purpose, so that we move more passionately toward a state of awakening. These intense levels of disconnection only drive us deeper inside ourselves to find our own soul. This lifetime that we have is meant to be a deeply enlightening experience. Is there anything more important than knowing how to access your own direct personal connection to an all-powerful, deeply eternal loving source of highly intelligent creative energy that has the magical power to manifest anything your heart desires? There is nothing more vital than to finding happiness in this life than knowing one's spiritual connection, and nothing more exciting than a proven way to access it, which works every time. No matter how ridiculously stuck you feel in this very now moment about your financial situation, relationships, health, sex life, future, there is always a way to reach freedom. If and when you wish to gain a greater spiritual perspective in this life, then you make the choice. And that choice is to clarify your personal relationship with the divine. You can see just how far you've come on your spiritual journey by taking the risk to answer these challenging questions. I've shared them before, I'll share them again. I ask these questions of myself every day. Only 5 of them. And here's the first one. What is stopping you from always being in communication with God? What exactly is your relationship with God like? What does it feel like when you're having a truly intimate connection with God? How often do you recognize and connect with the divine aspects of yourself? How is your life different when living with this connection versus without it? The longer you sit with these questions and feel into your answers, the deeper you'll dig into your soul and eventually discover your spiritual connection. Some people, one might say, it's too late for me. It is never too late to go ahead, do, and connect. Even if you feel you've wasted 75 years of your life on gluttonous, frivolous, mindless activities, feeling perpetually lost in a superficial life, the God source is still here. The door to the divine is always open. God is waiting for you to come in. When you take 1 step towards God, He's going to take 10 steps towards you. God will. Make time to redefine your relationship with the divine. You're the divine in that body. And I guarantee that your precious time will not be wasted. When I explore my own personal connection with the divine, I always first look into my heart rather than my head. I gotta remind myself of that, because we have such a propensity to, go in the ego mind. The head is so full of ideas about what God is and is not. And the head misses the real experience, feeling, and quality of godliness when the mind is quiet, still, and single-pointed into the now. We can instantly find that deeply alive spiritual feeling inside. And God's source already exists within the heart and at the core of our soul. And as we relax into this place, a timeless, deeply, eternally loving, conscious energy sneaks into us and relaxes every cell and fiber of our very being. Now, you could say that God is the most mysterious thing in this universe. Perhaps because it is the universe. God exists in everyone and everything, and including those people who think are deeply disconnected. Have you wondered, how can such an amazing presence be so spatially close to us and still be so difficult to feel and see? It's like you're making an effort to look into your own eyes without a mirror. We look out at this life through these little tiny black holes in our eyes, taking them for granted, not realizing they exist at all because they are so close to us. When something is too close to us, we are often unaware how precious it is. The same applies to noticing God. We are unaware of God until we take a step back and look deeper into our own reflection and the great mirror that is all around us. Realization of the self is realization of God. It is not an experience of God. Rather, it is an understanding that one is God. Ramon Maharishi. It's much easier to connect with God by relating to it an isness rather than an it. God is more like a mysterious infinite energy than some fixed stagnant entity. The great isness is instantly found when we stop and feel into this eternal quality, which feels like we are always and forever here now. The isness is our infinite nature. And this can only be experienced when we are living fully in the now, exploring this life from a relaxed, trusting connection. The divine isness is the most accepting, healing, forgiving energy one could imagine. The isness is the source of deep eternal love, which when even momentarily welcomed, we instantly feel the most profound ecstatic joy inside our heart. The knowing that we are eternal spiritual beings moves through us throughout the day, like a healing river of eternal liquid love. The very second we surrender our heart to just the idea of an eternally loving isness, we immediately find real peace, a sense of bliss, and a feeling of real satisfaction that cannot be compared. Knowing this isn't is our basic nature. We start radiating like the sun, start shining our own spiritual essence into everyone in our life. The only reason we may not feel, believe, and know that God is right here within the very center of our body, soul, and heart right now is because of one thing blocking the way, and we all know what that is: our overly busy, demanding, controlling, and desiring mind. And as long as the mind is wanting something, willing something, thinking it is lacking something, trying to reach a better place other than the great isness that's here now, we will easily miss our spiritual path. We will find ourselves living in thoughts about God instead of experiencing the real divinity. If we get too lost in the head, we might end up walking into some highly intellectual, materialistic, and spiritually dry future. The God source is infinitely complex, yet deeply simple. God is actually quite easy to experience. The discovery is learning what it takes to fully be here now. To feel the divine isness, we must first begin feeling whatever is up for us in this moment. We must choose to explore how we can let go of the mind and open ourselves up emotionally, feeling everything that is here now. When we call off the mental search looking for God out there and simply feel into the core essence of our being, we find that we have been the ones who were hiding and protecting ourselves from the divine. God has always been here, is always here, radiating within every atom in existence as we drop deeper beneath the thinking mind. And through our blocked emotions, we discover the greatest source of peace, silence, and stillness. This is where God abides. God abides in the now. Perhaps one of the most radical truths you may discover about this human existence is this: we humans are either existing in some form of suffering or living in some form of bliss. We are either in one or the other. We're either living up in our head or we are in the heart of God. Once we quiet the mind and open our heart together, we can live a balanced life in both realms of head and heart. Doing this, we then start merging with the infinite mind of God. If we can remain in this balance 24 hours a day, we will master this lifetime. Then every thought we think manifests into forming our living reality. By living in constant emotional connection with the divine from our core, we become a living, bliss-breathing manifestation machine, perpetually creating every beautiful idea we feel and focus upon. There's not many things guaranteed in life. Yet one thing that is 100% guaranteed is this: at some point, you are going to return to God. It will happen either when your body is still alive or when your body stops breathing. Eventually, you will feel intimately connected with God again. So do not worry about when or how. All roads lead back to God. The path ahead and the path behind you both lead back to God. God is unavoidable because our past and future are just mental concepts which only exist within this living present moment. The mind alone is blind to the divine. It is only with a quiet, surrendered mind that we may access an open, receptive heart which can see God in everyone and everything. The mind just doesn't want to realize how ignorant it actually is. It doesn't care to see how powerless, unfulfilled, and trapped it is, as this would cause a huge embarrassment to the ego. When we spiritually wake up, the mind realizes its petty search in the outer world to find everlasting satisfaction is spiritually fruitless. Only when the mind surrenders to God do we discover what absolute bliss feels like. Otherwise, the mind will continue to persist in its addictive habits of seeking fulfillment in the outer world. It will ignore seeing how true bliss is available here and now, as it needs to continue its addictive search for years, decades, and lifetimes. The mind is always trying to get its desires met by people, food, substances, money, ideas, and is in the habit of constantly yearning for something. Yet, as we all know, once the mind gets what it wants, it's happy for a short while, then it's back on the hamster wheel again, searching for fulfillment again. The mind is deeply unaware that it can never ever be truly satisfied. It's good to know that whatever happens in this life, there are no real mistakes. God is an infinitely positive, creative energy, and this fierce force does not know what a mistake is. Every mistake that we perceive to be real or true is simply the mind forming another judgment. There is universal right or wrong book. There is only deeper shades of truth in which each higher layer only reveals a lighter perspective on our enlightening mission we are here to learn. Some may believe that the greatest goal of life is to find that God source inside us 24 hours a day. This is the only thing which truly satisfies. Everything else falls vastly short. Feeling into our own personal, intimate connection with the divine is the most important thing you can do with your time each day. Everything else you do is going to be the ego seeking some form of gratification, which of course will not last. Beware of the ego, as it is easily caught in complaints, negativity, and creating problems that weren't there before. Your only job is to move beyond your ego, transcend your small self, step into the big self that you truly are. When you finally surrender to God at the center of your soul, you will know without a doubt that you have just discovered the most amazing experience of coming home. I join you in the meditation. I'll return to close us out. Take an easy and slow breath into the nose. An easy and slow breath out from the mouth. Remain still. Relaxed into your body. Focus on the breath forward. You are all Earth. The most amazing natural power to manifest anything we strongly believe. Our body, mind, work in the divine synchronicity with this entire universe. They are pulling everything that your heart yearns for to you with incredible speed and accuracy. Your only limitation in life are your limiting beliefs. Where do you believe that you are limited? Who would you be without these limiting beliefs? The amazing thing about these apparent limitations is that each one is just a figment of your creative imagination. You have the power to creatively visualize anything you desire to manifest. Paint the canvas in your mind that you wish to see tomorrow. Get ready to feel free. I mean, feel really, really, really free. Take this with you for the rest of the day into the evening and night, following morning. We will return here Monday, September 9, 2024, off to 3:15 p.m. Eastern. Continue our global guided meditation call. Be gentle, kind, generous, and humble with yourself at all times. Be in the highest of the highest high, deepest of the deepest deepest, purest of the purest purest. Eternal gratitude at all times. No matter what's going on in here or out there. Open your heart. Allow the magic to flow in.